Okay, so welcome everyone. This talk is about the Jigsaw method, building balance into your diet with the power of the moon. So some people here have got the book and they've read it. Some people have got the book and haven't read it, and some people haven't got the book at all. So I'm going to talk very simply about the book. I'm going to also tell you a bit about the context behind the book so you know where I'm coming from at a different angle from what most people are coming from. And at the end, we've got questions, and all questions are welcome because you've got all a different spectrum of awareness of what's going on with this book. So a bit about me. So before I became a health profession, I was in the IT industry solving computer problems, believe it or not. And so I had this approach, a system approach, so that if we put systems in place, they wouldn't break down. Yeah. And that's the way I think. I'm also a trained reflexologist. It's the same thing. We look at systems, particularly the elimination systems. And if we keep those clear, then generally our health is really good. Yeah. I'm also trained in a mind-body process to change habits. Two of you are very familiar with that. So we're working with letting go of the things that we don't want, and the good thing will just happen. So we're working with our habits around food. So that's more the context that I put this in. Here comes someone else. I'll just admit them. And what we're doing is that we're also looking at things outside of our body, particularly the moon, because we are part of nature. We tend to think of ourselves as separate, but we are part of nature. And I've also got a passion with gardening, and I used to garden biodynamically, so that's gardening with the phases of the moon. And I found that my crops were massively increased if I gardened with the phases of the moon. And as I was doing this, I wonder if I could eat in line with the moon. What would that mean? So I went and researched that and got loads of books about it. And over the years, I did my own tests and observations and found that I could make smaller changes that would give a bigger impact. And that's what in our lives today, we're so busy that we don't need to bombard ourselves with too many things. So if we could make a small change that would make a big impact, then we're up for that. So that's the sort of context I'm coming from, a system approach, a more of an elimination approach, and connecting ourselves to our environment more, the phases of the moon. So with that, I'm going to start talking through the book now, because the moon, as we know, has a monthly cycle, but it also has a daily cycle, and it affects our organs. And each organ will peak for 2 hours and then start to turn, and 12 hours later it will have a drop, and then it will peak again. So it goes in waves, like everything else in this universe. It goes in waves like that. And so, for example, our large intestine has its peak activity between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. So if we ride that wave and ensure we have a bowel movement, then we're eliminating the toxins quicker. And so we have more energy, and we feel less sluggish with the toxins being kept within us. So another example of our daily rhythm, which I really like to keep in line with, is the pancreas. Now, we're all interested in pancreas because of this sugar impact that we have, and diabetes. So pancreas reaches its peak between 11 a.m. and 1 a.m. And then it starts to turn and reaches its low point 12 hours later. So, and what's interesting about pancreas is that it pairs with the heart, because when your pancreas has reached its peak, sorry, between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., your heart reaches its peak between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. And we often get a lull at 11 o'clock, mid-morning lull. And people often have a little snack then. And I say to them, why don't you look at drinking water, doing light exercise, and that might curb your hunger so that you're not having to burden your pancreas when it's at its turning point at 11 a.m. Yeah. And then if you do that, then you're also riding the wave of the heart because you're doing a little bit of light exercise. Yeah. And then it saves your digestion for lunchtime, because that's when your small intestine reaches its peak. Yeah. So they all have a lovely knock-on effect. It's a beautiful orchestra that we've got in our digestive system. So that's part of the daily. So the monthly now. So we have a monthly rhythm, and we all know that, we're all women here, so we know about our monthly rhythms. So we've got a full moon, and at the full moon, our body's reaching its peak of absorbing. Now, in our society, we are fortunate to have food in abundance, but we're highly dehydrated, most of us. So we're looking at increasing the hydration at that time. Yeah. So our body is more likely to absorb water at full moon. And then we also have a new moon, which is the peak of elimination. So we've got this oscillation of absorption and elimination on a monthly basis. Yeah. So we look at how we can promote the elimination process on a new moon. And then we've got the yearly cycle. So with the yearly cycle, we're reminding ourselves that our bodies are part of nature. And we know in autumn, the leaves are falling, and our digestive tract mirrors the surface of the earth. So when the leaves are falling and it all retreats back, that's what's happening to all the villi in our digestive system. It's all retreating back, and your body wants to cleanse the gut lining. So we ride that wave then, because all the recipes in the book follow the seasons. So in the autumn, the recipes are highlighting a cleansing of your gut lining. And then in the spring, we're reaching our peak of detoxification. So I have recipes that promote that process. Because in the spring, if you think about what's happening to the earth, it's coming deep from below and then coming back up. And that's what our body does. It goes deep within our joints, in our tissues, draws the toxins out and eliminates them. Yeah. So that's the cycles. So we've got the 3 cycles: daily, monthly, yearly. And then the jigsaw method. So we have 4 corners of a jigsaw. And I made this really simple for people to understand, because in this process of making a jigsaw, when we find the corners, we know exactly where they're going to go. Yeah. And it makes it much easier to put the rest of the puzzle together. And it's the same with our diet. It's like a puzzle for us. We don't know what we're supposed to eat. It's all very confusing. But if we think, right, let's just focus on these 4 corners, then everything else will just sort itself out without us having to start analyzing bits and pieces. So the 4 corners are water, acid alkaline, balancing your blood sugar levels, and oxygen. Because oxygen is part of our diet. Because we can have hunger for water, we're going to have hunger for oxygen, we can have hunger for wanted to be nurtured, and then we can also have hunger for food. So it's understanding the different flavors of hunger. So it's just the same as our tears. We have tears of joy, happiness, sadness, grief. And if they analyze the tears from those different emotions, they'd have different chemicals in. So it's the same with our hunger. And this is the process that you understand in the book. You realize, oh, I feel hungry, but I know it's for water. Well, I feel hungry and I know it's for oxygen. Yeah. So today I had a bit of an unusual day because my son called me and said he wanted to come home from work at an unusual time, which is just when I was having my lunch. I thought, oh, that's going to be a bit of a tricky thing. So I was trying to organize it so that I could still have my water and eat my lunch and still pace myself through the day so I wasn't getting tired with my clients. So water, oxygen, balancing it at pH levels, acid alkaline. So the acid alkaline is really key because we can have hunger for alkaline forming foods. Yeah, because we've lost our sense of desire for alkaline forming foods because we're bombarded by so much acid forming foods. So you understand different flavors of your hunger in this process. So we've got oxygen, water, acid, alkaline, and balancing your blood sugar levels. So that's a key thing again with hunger, because if we have a low in our blood sugar levels, it ignites the hunger reflex. But we might not actually need food. Yeah. So if we work with stabilizing our blood sugar levels, then we don't get hunger. And then we don't have this desire to eat. So this is one of the key things that my clients tell me. They say, I can't believe that I'm not hungry. Yeah. Because when you do the 24-hour balance, so this is a thing I was going to talk to next, they have a very small like evening meal and they think that they're going to be starving the next day, but they're not because they've started to stabilize their blood sugar levels. Yeah. Okay. So finally, the system. So what we do, we work with the cycles and the four corners, and the system is for us to just balance everything for 24 hours, once a week, once a month, or once a fortnight, whatever works for you. And we do it just for 24 hours because we want you to experience what your response is when you eat your usual food. And through that contrast, your body will start reporting changes. Yeah. And that's the thing that this book gives you your own inner wisdom of what foods are right for you. Because there's so many things that are available on the market, but they're all telling us what to do. They're not working with our own intuitive knowledge. Yeah. Because what's good for you now will be different maybe next year. You might be in your 30s, and this process helps you travel through the menopause and into your later years. It also helps you understand the seasons, that you'll want different foods through the seasons, and then through illness as well. You'll start getting much more in tune with the foods that will help you recover from illness quicker. So the system is that we harmonize and then you eat your normal food to create a contrast. Then you see which foods take you out of balance and you start to cherry pick what you like doing in the rebalance, the 24-hour rebalance period. And through that, you make different choices and then you get the energy, or you get less pain, or your menopausal symptoms go, or your heart condition is relieved, whatever condition that you have. Yep. So that's the process. You're giving yourself a window of opportunity to connect to your own body's wisdom, and then you make the choices. And that's what I do. I support you in that process. Yeah. So just to recap then, because I've said quite a lot. So this process is focusing on elimination. Yeah, because we're bombarded with all the things that we need to, you need this food, you need that food, but we're focusing on elimination. We create a contrast which opens the door to your body's own wisdom. We're eating in line with the moon phases just for 24 hours to create that harmony. And we're starting small. So it's just for 24 hours. And you choose whether you want to do it weekly, fortnightly, because you might want to follow the phases of the full moon and the new moon. Or you may say, I only want to do it monthly. So I've got this follow-on book support that is online, and we're doing it monthly, and it's on the first Tuesday of the month at 7:30 till 8:15. So it's the same time as this, and starts on the 4th of Feb, and we're doing that for 4 months that will ride us into the spring. So if you're intrigued to know a bit more about that, then let me know. I can send you the link. Then I'm doing an in-person once a month in Kendal, and I'm calling that Eat Like Tonight, where you just rock up and they've made the food, they've cooked it, they've shopped for it, and they're washing up as well afterwards. So you don't have to do any of that. So if you live in Kendal and you fancy coming to that, then let me know. I can send you the link. And then there's bespoke programs. So if you're thinking, oh, I don't want to do something in a group, I want to do one-to-one because I want to be accelerated, because you might have a health condition, or you might have a reason why you want to really achieve a specific goal. So I do bespoke programs as well. Yes, so now's the time. I've spoken for nearly 20 minutes now. So what I'm going to do is open it for the questions now. So if anyone's got any questions, that I'm happy for you to just unmute yourself and speak. Or if you are worried about being seen, then you click on the chat and you could type the question in there. So all questions are welcome. So Melanie, you got a question?
I do, Alison. And would you say that, I know quite a few people who suffer from acid reflux. Would you say that is a result of not getting the acid to alkali balance right?
Yeah, so acid reflux, I think that is the case. Yep. It also can be very stress related, because if you're stressed, you create acid in your body. Yeah.
Right.
So this process goes through a breathing technique to help reduce stress, and there's also a relaxation technique. So that is really key. It comes under the oxygen corner.
Right.
As you start breathing with a different quality, so that you're actually getting the right oxygen balance, it reduces the stress. Now, one of my clients, she came to me, she had acid reflux, and apples are alkaline forming once we've absorbed them. But on the outside of us, in the apple format, they're acid forming. So she used to have an apple first thing in the morning and get stomach cramps. And I said, right, what you want to do is work with the process of getting your diet more alkaline and doing some breathing technique so that you get your balance back. And then when she did eat an apple after about 3 months it was, she found that she didn't get these stomach cramps. So that's an example of that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So in the book, because there is a book, you've got the book, haven't you, Melanie? It's got a discussion about acid reflux in there. So there's a section on it. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. Has anyone got any more questions? Liesel, hi.
Hi, Alison. Oh, thanks for this. It's really interesting. It's so interesting, and I've got your book as I said, and I'm making my way through it. I'm a bit swamped with books at the moment because I'm studying naturopathy. So everything that you're saying is really akin to what I'm learning and studying. It all marries and aligns beautifully. It's in harmony. It's very much the same stuff. So yeah, but I just wanted to ask you about blood sugar,
Yeah,
and if you had any top tips for helping to balance blood sugar levels.
definitely, definitely. Um, did you have a condition in mind, or is it a general question?
Um, Diabetes, but yeah, general question really is
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Okay, so there's things that spike your blood sugar level, and they're like a ripe banana, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So often people have a banana with their muesli for breakfast, for example,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that will raise their blood sugar level, and then they'll get a drop. And I was telling you about the pancreas, so it reaches its peak 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then you'll start to get your blood sugar drop. And people often want to eat because of that, because they've got the hunger response. So if I say to my clients, why don't you have something like, and it will depend, scrambled eggs with sauerkraut for breakfast. And they find that they're not hungry in the morning now. Yeah. But it's an education process to your mind, because they're going to think, oh no, that's not got any sugars. So you've got to get your mind on board with that. Otherwise, you feel as if you're going on a diet. Yeah. So this is why the rebalance is really key, because you're just doing that rebalance for 24 hours, and then you go to do your normal thing. And in the rebalance, they find that they're not hungry. Yeah, so they have their light breakfast, whatever that may be, depending on the season. So, for example, in the winter, it's a grapefruit juice. That's one of the things they can have for breakfast, along with a nettle tea or potassium broth. So they're getting all their minerals, because we can be hungry for just a mineral. We don't want porridge or toast, but our mind will tell us we do. You just need mineral. So this is where you need to keep topping yourself up with your minerals. And this is what the potassium broth does. So if you do that on your rebalance, you're educating your mind and your body that you're okay with not a high carb breakfast. Yeah. And then when you do get your lull, you say, well, I'm going to drink water, I'm going to do light exercise. So you hydrate and you oxygenate your body. And the light exercise will raise your blood sugar levels anyway, because that's what your body does. It releases glycogen from the muscles into the bloodstream. Yeah. So that's the process, a low GI for breakfast. Now, going back to diabetes, if people say, oh yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing about low GI, because they say porridge is low GI, but it's still adding carbohydrates to you when it gets further down your digestive tract, which raises your blood sugar levels. Yeah. So you want your whole blood sugar levels to drop, your body to get used to having less sugar in your blood. Yeah.
I guess a really good, sorry to interrupt you there, Alison. I was thinking a really good thing to do would be to wear a continuous glucose monitor, wouldn't it, when you experimenting with your foods, so that you can see for your particular body which foods spike your blood sugars.
Yeah, you could do, but it's this thing of connecting to your own body's wisdom. You feel it.
Yeah, I hear you with that. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, that this process rides you through all phases of your life,
Mm.
because you could have this continuous blood sugar monitoring on you, but then what are you going to do when you're not wearing it?
Yeah.
You don't want to be wearing
Yeah.
things all the time, like the Zoe patch, but they might be valid for some people for some time, but you know, not I think they are good, but it's much better if you connect to your own body's voice. We need this revolution, knowing ourselves, because we're bombarded with all these things to measure us. And they think, well, you know, we've got this amazing system that will pick it up.
You're so right. It's reconnecting back to our true core selves, isn't it? And our inner wisdom, absolutely.
Exactly.
And blocking out the system of everything that's, you know, polluting us continuously and telling us how we should think, how we should feel, what we should eat. And, you know, yeah, we've become quite far removed, haven't we, from our inner wisdom and insight that each and every one of us has that within.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you a story then. So when I between my two children, I had a miscarriage, and I had to have a blood transfusion. And then when I came out of hospital, my husband at the time was really keen to feed me and said, "What do you fancy?" And I listened to my body and I thought, "Oh, I actually fancy moussaka, but I don't eat gluten or dairy." And I said, "So I don't want any pasta and I don't want any cheese." And he said, "So you want courgettes, onions, tomatoes, and aubergines?" I said, "Yeah, that's what I want." And I looked up in my Chinese book to see what aubergines do. And it said it's the only vegetable that cleanses the uterus. And I thought, wow, that's spot on. That's amazing. So that's another point to say that all the recipes, rather than looking at vitamins and minerals, we're aligning ourselves to the phases of the organs, but we're also using the chi energy. What is food doesn't just have qualities of vitamins, minerals, proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. It has this chi energy, this invisible energy that goes into our body and goes to certain organs and has these properties on them. Yeah. So that's the thing to sort of start to connect, because you'll understand it, you'll see it, you'll feel it in your own body as you start connecting to these rhythms. And it will be a different process. So if you did it, so suppose you started it this winter, because winter is about preparation for your spring detox. Yeah. And then you move into autumn, and then we come into winter, and then back into spring. So you'll be in a different place in the spring next year. Do you see? So coming back to gardening biodynamically, if we wanted to work with soil and get it certified as organic, it takes 5 years for all the nutrients to get back into the soil, all the bacteria. And it's the same in our body. If we're working with rebalancing our gut flora, we're looking at years to do it. Yeah. Same with hydration. If we're really long-term dehydration, you're looking at a whole year to get properly rehydrated on all your cellular systems. Yeah, so you have a different experience as you start working with this process through the years. So I'm not giving you a quick fix. I'm teaching you a process that you can learn, that you apply, just like we do in the mind body process that I teach people. We're teaching you a process to learn how to let go of your unwanted habits. Yeah. Yeah. Any more questions? Hilary, have you got a question?
Well, I just kind of, maybe not a question, I just wanted to add, you know, when we eat, it's to be aware of the food. You know, it's very easy for us just to be really quick and dash and sort of ram the food in, and we don't even notice what we're eating. So it's to be really present when we're eating, which I think, I mean, your breathing technique if you do that before you start eating would help. But it's to use your senses and also look at the color of the food. You know, bright, you know, red pepper, really good for you. Have a variety of colors on your plates, and just, yeah, enjoy it. You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
you know, use your senses. You're fully there, and the food is going to give you more. You know, you're going to connect more with it.
Well, because if you're looking at your food, your body will say, ah, peppers are on our way. I'm going to start producing the enzymes to digest peppers. Yeah. Yeah, totally agree with you. It's the same as you taste it and you've got it on your lips, your body senses it on your lips, and then it will start producing the digestive enzymes for that.
That's the saliva in your mouth to start with, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. So going following on with that point, Hilary, in the summer, the routine in the summer is that we have a drink, and then we chew on fibrous vegetables like the stalk of a broccoli or a celery stick. We chew that and just drink the liquid and spit out the cellulose. So you get used to chewing more. So that's what that process does. Yeah, so we're not actually swallowing any solids. Yeah. Yeah, so my sons, they rebel against their mum, and they eat their meal in front of YouTube or gaming or whatever they're doing, and they're not looking at their food at all. And I just think, well, we learn by making mistakes, so I'll let them.
There's some people eat very, very quickly. You know, I've got a relative who just rams the food in, doesn't even, I don't know, he's very overweight, this person. So it's kind of, if you chew your food properly, it's going to digest easier.
Yeah. And that's really important, because as we get older, our digestive enzymes reduce by 40%. Yeah. In our 40s, our digestive enzymes start to go down, and eventually they drop by 40%. So we're not in the same. That's why I think maybe my sons could get away with it, but they're not going to get away with it when they get older. Yeah. Yeah, so has anyone got any more questions? No? Do you want me to put the details in the chat for you to follow on from anything? So I've got an online diary if you want to book a 15 minutes one-to-one free chat, or you can go to my website and book on those courses if you want to do an online, or maybe you come here on behalf of someone else and you want to send some information to them, whatever. So I've just put that in the chat, and if anyone wants to ask any questions individually, then I can be here afterwards, after the group's gone, if you want to do that. Yeah, or maybe you've got a specific question on a condition. Maybe there's people who've got a specific condition that you're intrigued about. So, sorry.
I'm still intrigued, and I think a challenge for me is going to be have less carbohydrates, because I'm used to having something with pasta, something with rice, something with potato. And it seems odd, because since I've seen you, a week or so ago, I've been trying, and it's just like, am I hungry? And it kind of seems quite challenging, but I haven't done the day, the 24-hour kind of thing, which I maybe should do that before I try to change anything.
Yeah, so I've got clients who they didn't want to do the 24 hours. They just thought, oh, what I'm going to do is just reduce it. Like you were saying, Hilary, I'm just going to have less of this and less of that. And, you can get some benefits from that. But he didn't travel very far with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But 24 hours gets you in balance. Yeah. Everything's working in harmony. and you feel really great. Well, it's one of my clients, she came to me, she was addicted to chocolate. She said she couldn't stop eating it, and she was really worried about it. So she did the rebalance, and she was very, very busy person, and she got a detox reaction. She got a headache, and I said that you're massively dehydrated. You want to keep drinking. So the next day, when she got a headache, she would drink, and she said after about 2 or 3 weeks, her headache went. And then she started noticing when she was eating the chocolate, well, this is so sweet and concentrated. I don't want it anymore. Do you see? You just don't want it.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit of this process. So going back to your carbohydrates, Hilary, I used to have tuna and rice. Well, it's one of the classic things I used to have for my evening meal. And I thought it's a mind thing. So I used to make sauerkraut with just white cabbage and put a pile of that on my plate. And so it was white. It looked like cabbage. It was finely grated. And I ate that and I thought, oh, I feel satisfied now. Do you see? So it's a mind game that we're playing.
Yeah.
So right at the beginning of the book, I talk about this eye patch. I don't know if some of you have read that. So at night time, yes, I got this idea from Hilary. At night time, I put an eye patch on my eye and read with the other eye in bright light. And so when I turn the light off and I take the patch off, the eye that had the eye patch on has got night vision, and I see the room. But the other eye is in total darkness. And because it's total darkness, my brain sends a stimulus to my eye. It says, you've put the eye patch on the other eye because I can't see anything. You must have something over it. And when that first happened, I really did think that, and I was trying to wipe it off, saying, what is it? But then over, about 10 seconds, I got the night vision in that eye, and I thought, oh, it's just because it doesn't. Do you see? So your brain gives you a stimulus, and that's what's happening with that process. You want to create a contrast, do something that helps you, the stepping stones, and that over time your body will have less sugar in it, and that means less inflammation. Yeah, less inflammation means you'll have more energy. Yeah, because inflammation stops all your cellular functioning from happening, and that's what the acid alkaline balance does. If you're too acid, all your cellular function can't take place so easily. Yeah. Does that help, Hilary?
It is, yeah, great. Thank you. I'm going to have to do one of these 24-hour things, I think.
Yeah, do one 24-hour things and just repeat it.
Yes.
I don't think you have to make any changes for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
And, if you wanted to, we could do a one-to-one session to see how you're doing in a few weeks' time. Yeah, so just give us a ring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to send everyone the recording. Now, because you've been here, you might think, oh, I don't want to listen to that again, but you might know someone that you think, oh, I'll send that on to them. So I hope I see you again. And if you've got any queries, if I don't, thank you very much, Caroline. If you don't, if we don't see each other, I hope you enjoy the journey of the book. Yeah, and I'd love to hear how you get on. Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
And I'll still be here. I'll stop the recording and I'll still be here.